Cool. So my heater's here, and it's got arrows, so it should be this way. But yeah, it's one of those little 5 kilowatt diesel heaters. I want to mount it in this area somewhere, but to do that, I'll need to get things out of the way. I also need to insulate these panels, right? Because that's no good. All right. Well, I'm probably gonna have to pull this weird bar off. I don't know what they put it up there for. Oh, these self-tappers for it. Maybe we'll be able to slip the foam in behind it. I've never, well, I changed my mind. I have hung stuff from that in the summer that I painted for it to dry. So, yeah. But foam, right. So this is the stuff that's got, it's reflective on the other side, right? So it should help reflect heat back into the garage. And like I said, the panels I was gonna buy would have been about the same price, about $100. Well, yeah, they would have been about $100. These were $40 per kit, so actually a little cheaper. Probably not as good of an R value, but you know, only time will tell. So I don't think these are labeled. They don't say what the R value is. You'd think that would be required. Like you're selling insulation, has to have R value. So maybe it's just so crappy they were embarrassed. Of course, these are for a 9-foot door. One kit is. So I would guess that these are 4.5 feet or 4 feet wide, maybe. So yeah, we're gonna have to cut them to get them to fit in there. So, you know, to see, it'd be nice to jam them down inside those pockets, but it's gonna be difficult to do. We'll be able to jam it on one side and then slide it over, but it won't be perfect. Yeah. We'll just do, any panel should do, they should be pretty much symmetrical. So if I just hold this up. Oh yeah, I would actually go to that edge. So it's just the end pieces that have 2 C's. This one. Oh yeah, love this. Really close. There we go. I think I measured that for you. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Just to have little pieces of styrofoam, but it wasn't too bad. I just held it up there, cut it, pop it in. It flexes a lot more than I expected it to, so I think we'll just knock the rest of the panels out and it shouldn't be too bad. Well, there's all the trimmings left over, some of them a little bigger because the top window ones, you know, they bulge out so much you can't fit it in behind these. So that won't be the greatest, but who cares? And then they kind of stick out, but it doesn't take much effort because of the recesses to kind of press them in place. So I just used this aluminum tape for doing duct work to hold it in, and hopefully that won't stick too bad and we can just peel these off and get some sunlight through in the summer. But even then, we have good enough lighting in the garage that if I want light in the summer, I'll just open the damn garage door. Okie doke. So all set. The insulation in the garage came out pretty good. Oh yeah, it's bigger than it looks in the pictures. And it's got holes so you can screw it to stuff. So maybe I would screw it to the wall or something. I wanted to put it kind of up in this area. And I got a little shelf thingamawhat's just for the burner unit to sit on instead of wood. But I almost wonder. I could put it up higher as long as the fuel line reaches. Really what's going to be our limiting factor is getting the exhaust to go out the window. Because what I'll do is make a panel with some of the wood that the window will pinch down and we'll have a little exhaust area. So let's just set this aside for now. This, like, you gotta put your own, is that a fitting inside? Anyway, that'll be fun. Okay, there's the heater itself. You know, just another little guy. Probably all the hoses bullshit in here. Oh, and just barely big enough. Cool. So it looks like, Here's a little pulse. I think that's the pulse pump for the fuel controller. Okay, so I got a nice list of notes from my buddy who's installed quite a few of these to keep ourselves going. And I was backwards, so the fuel needs to be up. If you install it sideways, you want this up, not down. Yeah, we're not going to install it sideways. We're going to install it this ways. And for install, here's my idea so far. I've got this piece, right, that I just cut, should fit in the window and then get pinched. And I've got these pieces of metal left over from doing some duct work, putting in a humidifier. So wherever the exhaust goes, I'll cut a hole with the jigsaw, screw one of those on either side with holes already drilled in them for the exhaust and the intake. That way it kind of has a little air buffer. And then here for the window, that or safety, you get to see me fall in the reflection. Oh, dead bugs everywhere. So it should. Yeah, that's a really good cut. Should be able to slide in there and just barely fit on one side. It looks like I'm gonna need to trim a little more. You get the idea, and then the window will pinch it down and it won't be able to pull out. So I'm thinking something along these lines, which would put intake and exhaust right about there. It's close enough for corners. We'll bring it in. You know, we don't need a huge opening. All right, well, if you're stuck playing with your wood, but you need to cut a hole in sheet metal, this is the way to do it. So I had started doing it. It was too flexy. I didn't want to dig in. It's starting to get my bit all hot. This isn't even a metal bit, but it should do. Just make sure you don't stick your fingers anywhere they shouldn't be. Okay, yeah, so they're kind of round. One on the right got a little wild, but more importantly, they're mostly lined up with each other. So, yeah, it'll work. It's good enough. These guys can hang out with their friends. Get in there. Yeah. Okay, so he's going to screw them down, make sure they're mostly lined up with each other. Here we go, and kind of see how it's coming together. We'll line these up however they make sense, and get this screwed to the board. And I think once because we'll still have to put our power supply here. I got a 12 volt power supply that does 15 amps, because I heard that these units, when the little glow plug's running, draw 10 amps, so this should be more than enough. Well, because they're supposed to be, you know, usually they're installed in the vehicle, it's got a 20 amp fuse hooked to it, and people have issues with voltage drop if the line's too long. So we'll be making this as short as possible going to that power supply. 10 volts, because I already turned it. Okie dokie. So screwdriver here. That's a massive adjustment range. Oh no, because it only goes to 12. So it looks like 13.9's the top. And if I rip it down, 10's the bottom. So 12. We'll start out around 12.3. There's no load on it, so and then we can see how it drops once we're hooked up and running, and adjust it on the fly if we get a warning. All right, getting closer. Here's the window setup. Got the power supply in place and wired up to the harness. So we just have our pump and our controller left, and plug it into the wall, obviously. Then our exhaust on this side, right? Exhaust pointed down, intake pointed down, so rain doesn't get in. We'll put the muffler on if we feel like it's too loud, but I think it being outside, we're probably not going to care too much. You can see how it kind of goes through there. Oh, I'm going to aluminum tape those. So last thing is to hook up the fuel, kind of plug some stuff in. So we'll get this up on the window and see how it looks. Here we go so far. I think it looks pretty clean. Certainly sturdy enough. I can pull on it and shit, and it's fine. So it helps that this is pretty. There's a little lip there, so it ends up tight against the window. It's going to keep it from vibrating around or anything crazy, I think. So we shouldn't need any more support. We just need to get the fuel container mounted, the pump mounted, control plugged in, and we can give it a test run. Well, you know, because when you plug it in, hopefully it starts on off, or at least be able to turn it off quickly so we can change the settings, because these aren't tuned right from the factory. They run a little too hot, right? So the fan goes a little too quick and a little too much fuel, and it makes them so they only last about a year. And if you just adjust them a little bit, not so aggressive, which really, I think my buddy said makes them about a 4 kilowatt, they're supposed to last a lot longer. So that's what we're going to do. Oh, yeah. Night's kind of dragging out, but I want this thing done. So I think step number 1, there's a fitting in here, and I need to drill a hole for it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, come on. Let's just do this with one hand. Son of a bitch. Bastards. Okay. Took the spare wire for the 12 volt and ran it through the hole. It should fit. So fitting, little barb fitting goes on. It might be too tight to actually wiggle through, but it might. Option 2 is I might be able to just pull on it. Maybe if I just pull this way. Oh yeah. Let's see that again. Hold on. Okay, try to keep it in frame. So it's sticky enough on this wire that if I come to the bottom and I just pull and pull, it just pops right through. I've already got the O-ring on that side. Out of there. I don't know if that was a mistake or not. I wonder, I hope I didn't drill my hole too big. We'll find out when I put diesel in it if it leaks like crazy. Okay. Oh boy. Quad's still outside. Let's just get this thing rolling. I'll put it in here because it'll just stay here forever. Okay. Came on. It's not doing anything, which is good. 1, 2, 3. 1. We want 1. It doesn't leave the number up when you hit OK, which is kind of goofy. 1, 6, 8, 8. Okay, lower, we don't care about the lower end. Top end, we're going to bring this down to 4.8. Lower, we don't care. There we go. So top end, and drop it to 4,300. Not a huge change, but it's enough that apparently it makes the motor last a long time. And we don't, it was on 12 volts. We'll leave the rest of this alone. Oh, Fahrenheit, nice. 0 o'clock, my favorite time. Let's give this a go. See what happens. So, do I need to hold it? Oop, on. Okay. So the fan's running. We don't seem to have any pump action yet. Flashing little stuffs. So the little pump's clicking away again. I think this line's so thin I can't tell if there's fuel in it or not. So I'm just going to let it go. Like, to me, it doesn't look like there's anything in there. But I pulled this off and stuck my mouth on it like an idiot and diesel doesn't taste nearly as bad as gasoline. That's what I learned from that. So we'll let it hang out. If it errors and says that it didn't start, it didn't start. But cycling through, it shows 12.3 volts just like we have on the board. So if right now the glow plug's running, which it should be, and it showed 12 point whatever, then I'm not too worried about it. Oh, look. Yeah, there's little bubbles of shit. So maybe it'll just prime itself. Who gives a crap? Look at it go. Look at them. They're like little ants climbing up. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to make the garage hot. Hope it's speeding up. Hopefully it doesn't like time out or some shit. I'm hoping for some kind of sound on that fuel because it's coming in small amounts. Click, click, yeah, go, go. Apparently, if you cover this in a pool noodle, it gets super quiet and you can't hear it at all. But yeah, we definitely have fuel. There's barely any air bubbles left. So it should start changing its tone soon and making heat. Oh yeah, you can hear it. Cool. Click, click, heat, heat, yeah, yeah, heat, yeah, heat, yeah. Oh, look at this. So we got 2 bars and it's already spooled up a bit. It's already warm. It's not hot, but it's warm. This thing's just click, 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 clickety-clacking away. This is exciting. And I need to do, I'll get my marker and I'll mark the tank. We need to figure out what the temperature is in here first. And see how much fuel it uses to heat the garage up and how much it needs to sustain it. Middle. And pump angle, right? So you want about 30 degrees upwards on the pump so that it stays lubricated. We're just kind of kicking along here, and I got my buddy texting me because right now it's in like a set mode, so it's going to run at this speed forever and ever. I want to switch it to temperature mode. And so the way to tell is when you're back. So here's how long it's been running, 19 minutes, right? We have 2 red bars, so we're good at 4.8. It's not as much output as we could have, but more output just means more fuel. Who cares? And when it did get to 2 bars, it slowed down to what it's at now. So I know it'll run more. And if you push the arrows, it changes the frequency. We don't want to max out. I want to push the arrows and get a temperature setting. So we'll figure out how to do that soon enough. I think we got it figured out. So when you push OK, it shows you the temperature. 5C. Allegedly 5C is 41 Fahrenheit. I'll tell you right now, it's not fucking 41 in my garage. It's way goddamn colder than 41. I can see my breath. My toes feel cold. For me, that's strange. It has to be below 40 for me to kind of feel cold in a situation like this, wearing pants and long sleeves. Either way, when you push it again, it gives you a setting. If it's a P setting, you can't control temperature. So if I cycle back through, there's my 5C, there's my P. You push setting and the up arrow at the same time, boom, my setting's 26. We don't need that much. We're gonna go for, oh, I guess you don't have to push through OK. So if I'm at the timer, now, oh, see, it's ramping up. We're going to set it to 11 because that's the right thing to do. But listen to that thing go. It's like, hey, I'm not 11 yet. Oh. You know, now that the fan's running a little higher, I can't hear the pump clicking, which is great. It's putting out a decent amount. It does kind of smell. It doesn't smell like exhaust, though. It smells like brand new Chinese stuff that got hot. There's a bunch of people that'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But I mean, it's kicking out a decent amount of heat. It'll be interesting to see how much fuel it uses overnight. I mean, we're already a little bit below the line, but that makes sense because the garage is so cold. So we'll let it run. I think what I'll do is I'll run upstairs and I'll do a little editing of the video I've taken so far. And then we'll check in and see both how much fuel's been used and what the temperature's changed to here in the garage. Oh, so I edited some video. Controller still says 5C. It's cold as fuck out here. I've used what I would consider a bunch of fuel. I mean, it's pumping it out. I think it's just that, like, I've got tall ceilings. It might take a while. Shit, I should have fucking put some pants on. Okay, it's been around 5 hours. Still going strong in there, I can hear it. It smells like plastic. And it's not very warm. Get the lights on. Like, it's not cold, right? It's not cold, but I've gone from 5C to 8C. I'm still going full speed. Clearly I can just go to work and it'll run all day on the amount of fuel that's left, but yeah. I think this garage is a little too big for this little heater. Here we go, home from work. So it's been, time-wise, 7 less than 24 hours, so 17 hours total. Looks like we burned roughly half a tank of fuel, and we finally hit 11C. So it's still hot, and it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's just clearly not enough to keep up with the garage, really. Not effectively, at least, because if I have to fill that tank every day, if I'm burning over a gallon a day, you're looking at $2 rounded up to be a dick, $3. So $90, closer to probably realistically $75 or $80 a month to keep the garage okay. And then anytime I open the door, it's just going to let it all out. So we probably need a better solution. I'll think about it, but I think what it'll be is that will maintain heat once the garage is warm and I'm out here working, and I won't heat it all the time like I kind of wanted to, which sucks.